Alright guys, and welcome to the 13th episode of Lifting the Lid.
In this episode, expect to find out why recruits sleep naked during training, what you can sneak into your bergen on exercise to make it more bearable,
And how you can take a shit in the desert when you don't have a toilet.
Let's get into it.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Lifting the Lid.
Long awaited. How long? It's been ages since you've done a lift in the lid.
It's been a while. The last one we did was another Q&A. They come periodically, don't they?
Yeah, well, whenever we think of an idea for a lift in the lid, we'll do it. Because you guys seem to enjoy them. So, Eds, do you want to explain the premise behind today's?
Yeah, so this is another Q&A, but it's X-rated, if you will.
Yeah, so you should have seen that in the title and the thumbnail.
Yeah, so the inspiration for this episode came from me effectively accumulating quite a lot of rude questions about life in the Royal Marines. So I thought I could then fire them at you, and you could give us some answers. So I've come at this from the perspective of a lad or a girl is applying for the Corps, and these are questions that you would have at the back of your mind, but are probably too kind of nervous or embarrassed to ask your recruiter.
Yeah, so when you're going through the sort of application phase, your recruiter is normally a serving Royal Marine, typically a corporal or above, so you probably are quite intimidated by them. So there is 100% going to be questions that you don't want to ask them through fear of feeling stupid or thinking it was a stupid question. So hopefully this podcast is going to serve as a little bit of like an anecdote to that. And I guess I'm like myth busting or whatever it may be. So we're not going to do segments today, are we?
No segments.
However, we do have a special mention because you may have noticed our apparel is consistent, congruent on the podcast. So we want to thank Athlesium, who literally sent this. Well, it arrived about an hour ago. Well,
yeah, these are hot off the press.
Yeah, about an hour ago, and they're awesome. I'm gonna actually show the back of the t-shirt.
Yeah, so for audio listeners, Shep is now showing the back of his t-shirt to the camera.
Yeah, nothing else. It's not X. It's not that X-rated.
But if you're currently listening to it, I urge you to watch just this bit to see how good these t-shirts are. Dare I say it? I prefer these designs to Gymshark.
I do as well. They haven't pulled any punches with the designs of these. They're very good quality.
Yes. So the Gymshark range that we wear a lot at the minute is called Heritage, I think.
Yeah.
And that's like their vintage range. I prefer the Athlesium stuff to that Heritage range. I think it's better quality and the design's better.
I would agree. And so if you want to basically check out what we're sporting, I think so. Athlesium UK is just their username on Instagram. So go and check that out, and their website is just linked in their kind of bio. So thank you to Athlesium for sending us over some clobber.
It's not a paid ad either, by the way.
No, these were free to be transparent.
To be transparent, they just gave Shep some free t-shirts and they're good quality. So
yep. So we thought shout them out.
Why not shout out a small UK business?
Exactly. So again, no helmet of the week or otherwise today. We're going to get straight into the meat of the pod and crack on.
Right, so lengthwise, I've got no idea how long this is going to last,
okay.
But there are 10 questions and I've categorised them.
Okay, cool.
Right, so the first section is under the subheading of training.
Okay.
Right, okay. Where do lads exercise their primal urges?
As in masturbation?
Yes.
Okay. In training, in terms of in the grots?
Yeah, basically. I guess it varies when you go off to a unit and you might have like your own room or whatever.
Yeah, so in training minimum you have like 6 blokes in a room minimum. I think it's 8 actually. So obviously you can't be just like pulling the turkey neck off it in the fucking
dropping loads in your mate's pit.
Yeah, Jacker's foot that we found on inspection. What's this? So typically it's an infrequent occurrence. I would imagine, but like basically, weekends in a cubicle typically seems to be the kind of idea. So you can't do it anywhere else. Like it has to be in a cubicle. You kind of like you stealth ops basically, and weekend because there's nothing else going on, and most people are like you'll get maybe like a period of time where there's less people in the grot, so there's like 20% of the people are there, so you can get away with it. But there's a few dits about this, particular act that you brought to my attention that I had pushed down to the recesses of my mind.
Are these involving you, or are these let's say, hypothetical anecdotes?
No, there are a few, and then none of them are involving me. Luckily, they're all inherited. So basically, the first one is from training, and it's just someone whacking off in their in a sleeping bag on exercise. How desperate can you be if you're fucking freezing your tits off on Woodbury Common to whack one off on exercise?
So for the uninitiated, right, and for like not people that aren't aware of kind of like what being on exercise involves, what is a DOS bag, and like what is the landscape of like where are you sleeping, who's around you?
So you're sleeping on the floor. You'll typically be under a poncho, which is like a waterproof sheet, effectively under a poncho, which is knee height. So if you're under that, you have about 6 inches of clearance for your face. So you're not much for your cock. And then, depending how big it is. And then you're, again, with one other person. So you'll share a poncho with 2 people. You'll be in your own sleeping bag and you're on your own roll mat. But there's probably, I guess, 2 people's worth of width plus maybe half a foot. So it's tight quarters we're talking here. And someone's basically been next to someone else, next to another lad, asleep. The guy's asleep, or at least he thought so. And his primal urges have come to the fore in like -4 when he's got like 4 hours to sleep anyway. Like, where are your priorities there? Like, what are you fucking doing? And also, not even linking back to kind of hygiene. And where the fuck what are you doing?
Where's he spaffing here? We need
to
unpack this.
What are you doing with the seminent?
Also, bad drills, because
horrendous.
You just shed your DNA.
Ground sign, mate.
You've just revealed your position to the enemy.
That's a major ground sign. We found a bit.
I imagine that. Putin will be all over that.
Yeah.
That is mental though, because that's like, she's not even camping. So like for civilians, the closest reference point to this is either like camping or being at a festival, and in neither of those circumstances would I want to fucking have a tug.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it's like how the hell is it even on your mind to do that?
You sleep deprived.
You can barely even find your knob most time. It's wild, mate.
You're like a little fucking caterpillar on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
The very horny caterpillar.
Typically, it's raining because you're in Wales. The like wet sheet of poncho is about 8 inches away from your grid. Like, where the hell is the arousal here?
There's no stimulation. It's not like you ain't got fucking
you
ain't got VR Pornhub on the go, have you, on exercise?
Yeah, you've not got your fucking Vision Pro, Apple Vision Pros on. Yeah, but anyway, that's one. Another one, which was camp orientated. So this was in Norway, which was quite funny. And in Norway, similar kind of thing. So you got like 6-man rooms, big kind of imagine like uni halls, but like a big hallway in the middle, rooms either side, and at the end of each corridor was like a communal toilet with showers and stuff. So like cubicles, urinal, showers. One of the lads has gone for a tom tit.
Shit.
In the heads, and the other cubicle was taken. Anyway, he sat down, dropped his keks, got to work, and underneath the door that segregates the two.
Yeah, because there's obviously a gap between cubicles at the bottom.
Yeah, separates the two occupied cubicles. A massive load was hit the floor with a thud, and yeah,
so some weight behind it.
Yeah, with like a 3-week-old, like 3-week no spaffage.
Oh,
yeah,
that's come out like a rocket.
Yeah, exactly, mate. So that's horrendous. And then apparently
that's a major transgression, because that's another man's personal space there.
Yeah, I know. You're literally landing 6 inches away from his foot.
That's borderline sexual assault.
I would agree.
You've come on another man there.
The worst part of it, there was no communication after this, right? All that he saw underneath the cubicle, we still don't know who this was, by the way, to this day. All he saw under the cubicle was a hand wrapped in tissue, and it just like mopped it up, and then like went away with his business, and that was it. And he heard him get up and go. That was him.
This brings me back to another question. This is vaguely related to the initial question that I asked. I imagine Marines are very kind of like testosterone filled. So like in training, you say you don't really have the time or the energy to masturbate.
Mm.
Where's all that testosterone going? Are you literally too preoccupied with the training to even think about that?
Well, it's energy related. So a lot of your energy is spent doing fears and like cognitive energy is doing whatever. But you will do, like we went out every 2 days a weekend. Every weekend we could do. Like every time we had a chance to go out and socialise, should we say, we would take that opportunity, and that's where you kind of exercise that, I think. Because like I say, you can't really, you're in a fucking 8-man room. Like you'd be pretty brazen to be getting after it there. There's another couple of like notable mentions. I think those two are my top two. I think, but
Go
like
on, fire through them.
So like when we were in 4-3, so behind the wire.
Yeah.
So again, for anyone who doesn't know what behind the wire is, you're basically on call or on notice to move. So you're effectively a guard service. And if someone attacks the camp, you've got to be in a certain position at a certain time. So if the alarm goes off, you're on either 1 minute's notice to move, 2 minutes notice to move, or 5, basically, depending on where you are. And you've got to be in certain positions within that amount of time. Obviously, engaging in said activity is a risky manoeuvre if you're on 1 minute notice to move. So you imagine you've got to deflate in that time. You then got to run out, get in your kit, do whatever. So there was one point where someone ran out with a little
bulge in their pants.
Stonk on, yeah. I wonder where you've been, son. Because again, there's no time or sort of space for deflation there. So,
but like when you're behind the wire, you don't have the internet or anything, do you?
Yeah, you do.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were like
most places you do.
I thought you were like off comms.
Nah, at one of the places you are off comms, but I only went there like.
I thought he was only just like using his imagination there.
Nah.
Deep in the recesses of his mind.
Memory, tug. Yeah, nah. Well, you do have internet, yeah.
Right, okay. So, well, I think we've comprehensively addressed masturbation there for anyone that was interested.
Yeah.
Right. So next up, do you have to sleep naked?
So this is kind of probably a misconception pushed by one of the documentaries, because they were like, in the Royal Marines, you always sleep without your boxers or socks on because you've just had a shower and then you're now clean. You go into a clean bed, so you don't put anything else on to make that dirty, whatever. So in the initial parts of training, that is drilled into you, and that is kind of what happens. So everyone sleeps naked. You get up and you run to the showers all fucking naked. So I mean, it's mental. Obviously, you have a towel, but like whatever. And then as you move through your career, you can obviously do what you want. But during training, typically, yes, you do.
You slowly like earn the right to wear more clothes as you go through your career.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I sleep naked anyway.
I don't.
Do you not?
No.
That's interesting.
I sleep in shorts.
That's weird. See, I do.
But is that not because now you've been conditioned to sleep naked? Did you sleep naked before?
No, probably not. I don't know.
Well, there you go then.
Yeah, I guess so. I just thought it was a natural thing as you got older, because you start to shed pajamas as you get older and older and older. Because you first of all, you're like fully dressed in pajamas, right, when your mum puts you to bed.
Yeah.
And then you progress, don't you, to like trousers and then shorts and then whatever.
It's like you rebel against clothing.
Yeah.
And then you slowly build it back up again.
Yeah.
Well, I've already reached old age mentally, hence why I wear pajamas.
Need shorts.
I'm like Scrooge, mate, with his little fucking nightcap.
His little hat on.
Yeah.
And so so you do pretty much sleep naked, yeah. And again, I think it is a hygiene thing. If you have got clean beds, it sort of almost makes sense to me. But again, I'm indoctrinated, so you could probably pick holes in that. But like, if you've just showered and then you get into a clean bed and then you get up and shower again, there's no real, unhygienic moment there. So I think it makes sense. But yeah.
Have you got any advice for someone who is daunted by the prospect of sleeping naked and in a room full of other naked men?
Get a grip.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
I mean, if you don't like,
know, mate. You're joining the fucking Marines, like.
If you don't like the idea of like hot, oily, naked men, then the Marines probably isn't a career path for you.
Well, I mean, obviously I get it's probably a little bit of a step change, but there's not really much you can do about it, and it's a matter of, I think, maturing. Like, it's a little bit of like an immature, funny thing, when you think you see like someone's when you kind of like you're in a changing room in like David Lloyd, whatever.
Yeah.
And you see someone kicking around with a knob out. It's a bit of like when you're like 10 or 15. But as you get older, fucking hell, everyone's got one, so who gives a fuck?
Yeah. It's just that mine tends to be bigger than most people's.
Yeah, well, that is an issue, isn't it? Yeah, it's mad that.
Don't like drawing unnecessary attention to myself.
Yeah, as an introvert, you get quite a lot of attention when you dress down.
When you get your piece out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is all artistic license, but
yeah, right. Okay, so following on from like sleeping arrangements, then this is less X-rated, but still a very pertinent question.
Well.
Yeah, it's still a very pertinent question. How often do you have to wash your kit/bedding?
Once a week. So every Wednesday, you have a Wednesday bed routine, which is always checked by the training team. Again, in training this season, this is supposed to be carried through your career, but you can sometimes fall off it. But like typically, I guess like Tuesday night, you would wash all your stuff, and then you change your bed sheets. You have to make your bed in a different way on a Wednesday to show basically like you normally would fold the top end of your bed back, obviously to expose the pillow and that sort of stuff. You fold the other end as well to expose the bottom of the sheet to make sure it's still clean. If that makes sense.
Right. Do you not get blokes like sleeping on the floor so that they have less like bed admin to do?
Yeah, that's not necessarily like changing bed sheets though. What that normally is you make your bed really well and like it has to be measured and like all this sort of stuff. Because that's such a ball ache and you have to iron your sheets, all the rest of it. If you sleep in that bed then, you have to wake up another half an hour earlier to do that whole fucking routine again. However, if you make it once on a Monday, bit of a hack this, but if you get caught, don't blame me because everyone sort of risks it. So if you sleep on the floor or sleep on someone else's bed, so we used to call them like wrap pits. So basically you'd have 8 people in a room. Over the course of training, some people would drop out and stuff, so people have wrapped. And that bed is there free.
Oh yeah.
So you can sleep just on the bare mattress.
That's class.
Yeah, and then you still get a bed and leave yours good to go on a Monday. Iron your sheets on a Sunday, whatever, and then you basically get another half an hour in it every morning, which is such a hack.
Yeah.
However, if and when training teams randomly come and check on you in like middle of the night, if you're sleeping on a rat pit, you'll get fucked for it. So it's kind of like a live and die by the sword thing. If you're going to do that, then you have to run the risk of maybe getting caught. But it saves you a lot of time. So you can get it absolutely bombers at the start of the week, your bed. And then Wednesday you change it a little bit, and then you go again. So
that's genius.
Yeah, it's a little hack. Again, everyone does it. They will tell you not to do it in training, but fucking hell, I don't know anyone who hasn't tried that.
Mate, you're so sleep deprived. You got to take what you can get.
Yeah, 1,000%. Like, some people are better at playing. That's what you call playing the game. Some people are better at it than others, and some people like
do everything by the book.
Yeah. But other people. And other people try and play the game a bit and just aren't as smooth with it, and then get fucked up because of it. So
you got to have a neck on you, I guess.
Yeah, and you have to have a bit of maybe the gift of the gab to carry it off. But it's worth a try anyway because you get a bit more time in your pit. But yeah, you do. You wash your sheets every week, once a week.
Right. Okay. Next question relates to showering. Now, on one of the very first episodes, I think we covered the showering. Situation. You shower naked, obviously, because you're all running naked to the shower. So
what nakedness.
So do you have to stay clean shaven downstairs? Right. So what's the
No, you don't. No.
What's the spectrum here? But like, is there a norm? Is there like informal rules?
Nah, I don't think so.
Are you frowned upon if you're kind of like poor hygiene downstairs?
It's a good point, actually. No, I mean poor hygiene, yes, but like poor, admin in that sort of not. Shaving, that's not an issue. I don't think. As long as it's clean, then we're good to go.
Inspecting it?
No. To be fair, no. Just for clarification, you do not get your penis inspected.
That's bollocks. Be lads fucking withdrawing their application.
Fuck that.
No, because my thinking behind this was that like every other aspect of your hygiene and admin has to be so on point.
Yeah.
Would that then transfer to like the nether regions as well as like below the top lip?
No, so I don't think so. And the only reason, effectively, there's effectively a reason for all the hygiene standards, even if it's like a bit of a bullshit reason. There's a reason. So there wouldn't really be anything they could crowbar in. The reason you need to be clean shaven is so that if you have to wear a gas mask, the respirator
seal. That makes
sense. And yeah, I mean, you have to wear a gas mask on your crotch, so you'd be
more streamlined if you're swimming.
Maybe, but you're swimming fucking full rig anyway, so
that makes a little difference.
Yeah, so no is the answer, and I think it's a good point though. I hadn't even thought of that. But I think basically everything else has to be on point, but nothing. Yeah, no one's checking your fucking pube admin.
Right. I don't know. Just thinking, 'cause if you're all naked and like there's just one bloke with a mental fucking bush, like is he not going to be a bit like fucking sort your shit out, man?
Probably not sort your shit out, but he will get ridiculed.
Well, that's what I mean. So that's like there's no formal enforcement going on there, but through the process of ridicule, he's kind of been policed.
Even through phallic individuality, you'll get some sort of ridiculing going on. So shapes and sizes and all that sort of stuff.
Basically, no one's safe.
No one's safe.
And if you can't deal with it, don't join the Marines.
Yeah. You used to have someone with excess foreskin, called him foreskin. It was So it's one of those things. You got to kind of, because again you're all going through this stuff together. You got to find ways and means to have a laugh, and so that's one of them, innit?
Yeah, and if you're the kind of bloke who would contact HR if someone started calling you foreskin, like a career in the military probably isn't for you anyway, I assume.
Yeah, exactly that. And certainly not in like a unit like the Marines, I think, or paras certainly.
Yeah. Right, well, they're all the training related to that.
Cool,
questions gone. So let's move on to exercise. So you just talked about. So for anyone that's not aware and who hasn't already gathered what is going on exercise.
So effectively going in the field. So not sleeping anymore in your accommodation. Now you're sleeping out in the sticks and doing, for want of a better word, like the soldiering job. So you're planning attacks. That you're then doing the attacks. So you're going around the clock. So you are essentially role playing being at war effectively.
And you're like self-sufficient in the field, aren't you? Like everything you take with you, that's what you've got.
You carry your house on your back. You carry all your food. You carry like all your weapons and stuff.
So where do you shit?
So on exercise in training, you have something called an Elson.
An Elson?
I have no idea.
Nelson or Elson?
Elson.
Right.
So no clue. That gets taken with the training team. So they have so you'll obviously carry everything on your back, but then they have half cab wagons and stuff like that to take different bits to facilitate the actual exercise. Typically, that Elson is somewhere in the middle of the harbour, so in the middle of the triangular bit where you stay. And you just crack it normally. I think it's Wait,
so is there any what is it? Just basically like a?
It's like a toilet, but with a bag underneath it rather than a actual reservoir.
So it's like a portaloo. Have you got walls around you, or
No.
are you just shitting in front of everyone?
Oh, you're shitting in front of me.
So you're just squatting down in the middle of the camp shitting.
Yeah.
And you've got one hole between everyone on exercise.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to change the bag.
Right. Who gets?
Yeah.
Who gets given that job?
So typically, what is it now? Basically, you get someone who's, I don't know what it's called, but like someone who gets dicked with the job of being in charge of the Elson.
Tom Tit. Probably.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So it's typically the lowest performing recruit on that exercise.
That's such a shit job to get.
Yeah. So you'll get the job of basically you have to clean it out when you get back to camp, which is horrendous, and then you obviously have to change the bags and do that sort of stuff. So it's
grown ass men who average 5,000 calories a day are going to produce some absolutely Chernobyl reactor 4 shit.
Yeah, absolutely abhorrent, mate. Yeah, and so that's not a great time. Obviously, it depends on the exercise, and in terms of it depends how tactical you've got to be. So you might actually have to have your rifle with you. You might have to have your kit on, all that sort of stuff. So it depends on the exercise. Sometimes you can take everything off and be cool, and it'll be off to a side, and it'll be kind of in private. But other times it's not. In Norway, it was extremely difficult, to say the least, to have a shit in the field because you're freezing and you've got about 4 million layers on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if you have that Elson when you're in training, what happens when you're not in training? What happens when you've passed out?
Depends. So it depends where the exercise is. So if it's hard cover, then it could be normal toilets, or it could be portaloos, or potentially it's Nelson again.
What's hard cover when you have digs to go back to at night?
Now, when you're in a farm building or whatever.
Right. Okay.
When you're not sleeping actually in a field.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you have a fucking scout hut or something?
Yeah, that's kind of.
Or is that
I
not
wouldn't even consider that in the field.
right? Okay, what's that, like a fucking range package? Or
Yeah,
something?
exactly. So
Right.
it's like a residential package, whereas the hardcover in the field is where you basically you've found like a derelict building and now you've got cover.
Right. Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, potentially there's other stuff, but it does depend on the exercise, the tier of exercise as to. And if you're in the desert, when we're in the desert, you just have a desert poo, which is fantastic.
Is that like a cat? Where you like dig yourself a hole, shit, and then cover it back over.
Exactly that. So you would basically go away from the lads about 50, 100 meters, and there's a few positions you can adopt.
Go on, talk us through them.
These are hard to describe. So you've got obviously the squat, which is standard. Don't have to too much of that. But eventually, sometimes depending on how reactor 4 you are, that can be a bit of an issue. So one of the preferred methods is to have, like a reverse table.
Oh, what?
Yeah, so like you're on your feet, and then you've got one hand back.
That's like a bridge gymnastics pose, isn't it?
Yeah, and then
Is that what it's called?
Then you let it fall into the hole you've created.
But so like talk it from like a PT perspective though. You're engaging your glutes.
Yeah, but you don't
to
have
hold
to be
that
fully
position.
flat.
But what I'm saying is you're going to end up with a shitty arsehole because.
But you don't have to be, like I say, you don't have to be like fully extended.
Right, okay. So it's
you
like
just kind of like
it's like a collapsed bridge.
Yeah, collapsed bridge position. I think
that's still a bit.
It's still a bit acrobatic.
It's not really comfortable. That.
Yeah, again, I mean that's for big events. That one.
What about just like legs spread, as in like legs stood apart, and then kind of just like
a sumo squat.
Like a sumo squat.
Yeah, that's a valid option. Yeah, correct. Yeah, but I mean,
there's no hard and fast rules when it comes to a desert
you can do
poo.
what you want, but you do have to dig a hole, cover it up to make sure you've got no ground sign, and then wash the entrenching tool, whoever's using.
What's the wiping policy?
So you have baby wipes.
What did you take? Do you always take baby wipes and exercise with you?
So you have in the ration pack is little.
Right, okay, so you can wipe your arse.
Yeah. You're not just walking around with fucking shit on your ass.
Well, I don't know, because it's the fucking.
Well, exactly.
I won't put it past you.
Yeah,
You got blokes fucking jerking off into their fucking DOS bag.
Yeah, exactly.
You just come home covered in your own bodily fluids.
He must have used the. That's what he must have used to clean himself up.
The baby wipes.
The baby wipes solved it. There we go.
There you go. Right, well, we've done the next question. Do lads exercise their urges on exercise? Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Can you sneak stuff into your bergen, like phones and scran?
Good question.
Officially, I'm assuming no.
Yeah, correct. Well, it depends on the stage you are in training, because the later you get, the more liberal they get. You'll never be able to take your phone, from my knowledge. Maybe nowadays it's different because phones are a bigger part of things.
Well, anecdotally, we know now that vaping is very commonplace on exercise.
Yeah. So vapes, potentially like snus, stuff like that isn't regulation for certain, but you can get it in. So when you get to later exercises, like I say, like week 23, you have like violent entry, which is a stinking 7 or 8 day exercise. I took loads of like, they call it civvy scram, but like loads of like normal food that isn't ration packs. So I would always, I think I told you this on the pod before, I would always go to the naffy, get Haribo and loads of chocolate, smash it all up into a Ziploc bag, and then take that. And that was a little like energy pouch you could chomp on when you were yomping and stuff. And that is really good. It's like real morale as you go through your exercise. But
that's a great hack. Do you melt it on the radiator so it's all like a congealed pouch?
You can do. I didn't do that, but like when it's in there anyway, and it's all like it's in your kit because it's warm. It does that. It gets like that. It
congeals anyway.
Yeah, and it's one big block of calories. It's fantastic.
Yeah, because then you can just nibble on it as you go, can't you?
Yeah, you just gnaw on it as you go through. But to answer your question, I mean, you can stick food in there, but I don't think phones. And to be honest, you wouldn't want your phone. We actually had, so this is in a unit. This is fantastic. So we had a force-on-force element. So basically, is
that a euphemism?
No. So this was like how the exercise was ran. So basically, they split the troop up into two. One was attacking a village, for example, or one was trying to find the other one, and the other one was trying to evade the other one potentially. So like, there's two groups and trying to do different stuff. they're against each other, right? And so that you don't know where the other one is. So one of the lads had a fucking phenomenal idea to just check to see if any of the boys had brought their phone on exercise. And you can do it in a unit. Like in a unit, you can take your phone. It's just a bit of a risk in it because you're gonna break it probably. However, this lad had left his Snapchat location on.
Oh,
so like they were like, oh, laying an ambush for these lads, and they were like, where's the other unit? Don't worry, I've got him. So like literally to the T, you could tell exactly where he was.
This is actually, it's funny you mention that. This has become a problem in modern warfare. So prior to the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russia, you know when there was the skirmishes in the Crimea when Russia annexed the Crimea?
Yeah.
But according to Putin, it wasn't actually the Russian military, so he got away with it.
Yeah.
Academics over like the subsequent years have been like geolocating Russian troops in Crimea when this happened, using images that they posted on Facebook.
Yeah. It's operational security. They call it OPSEC, which is a massive point of brief from higher when you go anywhere new. When you go into a operational environment, basically you have zones of different security levels, basically, where sometimes you have to remove your SIM card because if you're anywhere near Russia, you have to remove your SIM card because different stuff can happen. Obviously, locations off on everything. Sometimes you're not allowed to use Strava for obvious reasons. You can see when you start and finish. You can see your routes. You could get pinpointed to things.
Basically, anything that you do on your smartphone can be traced by people, depending on their level of competency. Like any kind of footprint you have digitally can be traced.
Yeah.
So like the best policy is just not to take your phone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't like film recruits when you're a training instructor or something.
Yeah.
I'm just just
like just hypothetically,
Yeah.
if you were a PTI at Limpston, probably not best to then use that footage as promotional material for your own business as well.
Well, yeah, to each their own. Go on anyway, next.
Right, okay, so they're all of the exercise questions now. This category is now called sex.
Perfect.
As if we haven't talked about that enough already.
It's because we preface this by saying it was X-rated.
Is bagging off female members of staff prohibited on camp?
Yeah.
Does it happen?
Yeah, probably. I mean, not much. I think. What do you mean? Recruits?
Well, we'll break it down. We'll give different examples. So Limpston, obviously, is probably the camp that most people are familiar with.
Yeah.
That's mainly male orientated.
Mainly all of them are, but like there's still like female nurses, female dental nurses, female like medics and shit. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So what's the crack there? Who are they bagging off?
PTIs generally. Yeah.
That's the honest answer, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, 100%. Like, obviously, there are train ranks on the camp. If there's going to be any relations going on with anyone who's female on the camp with a serving Marine, then it's going to be someone out of training who has their own digs. Because otherwise, how the fuck are you going to do it? Like,
and let's be honest, and his essence.
Yeah.
If you're going to bag someone off on Limpson, it's going to be a PTI in it.
Yeah.
Because there are some good to go. I mean, not to make it homoerotic, but you just got to appreciate a fine specimen when you see one.
Yeah, well, exactly. So
it's weird though as well because again, hypothetically, some PTIs could be absolutely rats.
Yeah, hypothetically, like it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
So to say
that staying in shape is their full-time occupation.
Yeah.
And then you got a washed rig. That's But you can look too much into that. Who am I to judge?
Yeah, well, he would have some thoughts on that. Anyway, so yeah, if you're like in training and you're a recruit, there's no way really. Like, how are you going to get this bird to go to your 8-man room and fuck it? Yeah, there's no chance. So yeah, it does happen. But
has a recruit ever bagged off a female member of staff in training?
I mean, I'm assuming yes.
You should just
averages.
At that point, you should just get fast track straight to pass out.
Yeah, I agree.
Hello, Jim.
Hello, Jim. Guest appearance.
For audio listeners, Sir Jim Galvin has just entered the room.
The elusive Jim Galvin. Do you want to say hello?
That's my hello. Hope you're enjoying the podcast, guys. I'll be on soon if they ever invite me.
There you go.
Little cameo appearance there.
Jim will be the next episode on the podcast.
official. So
Yeah, so you should just get fast tracked at that point, straight to pass out week, I think.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean that should be straight wings.
Because you completed at that point. Forget the commando test.
That
You know what I mean?
That's the ultimate commando test.
That is the
really.
unwritten commando test.
Yeah, even if you're in week 2, that should be like job done at that point. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it happens. I don't know anyone who's quite achieved that level of success yet.
But okay, so like going back to the original question, let's assume that someone is bagging off the females on camp.
Yeah.
But it's
And again, they're few and far between. It's like a supply and demand issue here. Like, you've got about 3 girls and about 1,000 blokes or whatever.
yeah.
3,000 blokes probably.
Are men bagging each other off?
Nah, not really.
And then, right,
It was,
this is the last question, but we might as well cover it now. Like, how tolerant, on a whole, obviously not officially, because officially they're not going to come out as homophobic. Anecdotally, how tolerant are people of homosexuality in and around the Royal Marines?
I think it depends who. It's like any subset of the population. There's going to be people with certain views and people with other views. I think on the whole, it's probably quite accepted, and it depends on the. So like,
So is it a bit like professional football in that, like, statistically?
there's not many.
No, as in statistically, some Marines have to be gay, as in like just by like law of averages.
Yeah.
And the same way that like there must be kind of gay professional footballers, but because it's just not they don't feel comfortable coming out in the environment. Is there any openly gay Marines that you know of?
Yeah.
Is there?
One.
Okay.
Yeah, there is one, and I don't think he gets any stick. I mean, it's like anything. Like the Marines is one of those things. It's ultimate meritocracy, really. If you're good at the job, it doesn't matter really with anything else.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
And if you're shit at the job, again, nothing else matters. You're a knobhead. So like, it's one of those things where if
you're there on merit,
yeah, exactly that.
Crack on.
I don't think there's that much of an issue with it. Potentially, with the environment being the way it is, there might be a bit of stigma, but I don't think so. No.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
I won't probe you anymore in case you accidentally get cancelled. No, I'm joking. Right. This is the $1 million question now. Save the best till last. Do girls actually give a shit that you're a Marine? And the second part to that question is, do they even know what a fucking Marine is? Because let's be honest, I'm sure a lot of people that apply for the Marines deny it, but part of their motivation will be because they think it will pull them birds.
Well, I would argue that's why we as blokes do the majority of our things.
Yes.
So I don't think you can, pigeonhole it too much into these decisions to join the Marines. However, do women care? No. Any women who are watching probably kind of,
Well, comment.
I don't know, actually.
You're a woman watching this and you do care. Let us know, because then Harry will sign up again.
No, but the thing, I don't know, that's probably not 100% accurate. If you think about, like, status, the whole reason that women find uniforms attractive is because it's a sign of, okay, you're doing something in the world. It's kind of it's a proxy for that. As much as they might not admit that, that's kind of the whole underlying reason. And so it gives you status in a community. The only thing is, if they don't know what it is, then obviously there's no status, there's no impressiveness there. They'll often just think you're in the army, which can have almost a negative connotation. So it depends on the girl, effectively, and it depends on their.
It depends on the caliber of female.
No, it depends on their past experiences. So like, if they've been fucked over by someone in the military before, you're instantly red flagged.
Yeah.
However, if they haven't heard of it before and they've only heard like the ethereal stories about Marines, then they might be enamoured.
It must be like lads must get frustrated with, when they're trying to like I don't know, talk to a bird in a club or whatever, and they like drop the arm of Marine, and then not only are they like met with a blank expression, but then the reply to that is, does that mean you're in the army?
Yeah, so that's not the ideal reply, is it?
No, because like
a lot of the time you won't even tell them, because it's more simple to make something up. Because you have to think like,
because otherwise you turn into that, the meme where it's like that bloke 100%. In the bird's ear.
Because you'll go, okay, I'm a Marine. They'll be like, what's that? Or does that mean you're in the army? No, it's slightly different, whatever. And
I mean, already there, you're off to a loss, aren't you?
Already you've lost it. It's a bit like if you were telling a joke, you have to explain the punchline. It doesn't work. So like, if they ask you what it is, you have to then go into, okay, well, it's a bit like the army, but it's the navy, and it's like, well, what the fuck, like, what's going on? And then they'll ask you, so what do you actually do on a day to day? Like, and then you just lost, don't you? Because then you're detailing out your daily routines, but like that's not the vibe. So oftentimes you'll just make something up.
It's just the easiest thing to do in
it's
this
just the easiest
situation.
option. I think I've said before on the pod, penguin erector is a personal favourite of mine.
That's a classic.
So the story, and they're like, "What do you mean? You're again?" It's all about like pushing the conversation forwards. Then they're like, "What the fuck's a penguin erector?" And so we used to
because then they're intrigued instead of just
Exactly.
confused.
Yes. So we used to work near Edinburgh or whatever. So we were like, oh yeah, we work at like Edinburgh Zoo, and it's obviously by the airport, right? So whenever the planes go over the zoo, what happens? The penguins love it, and they fall backwards.
Yeah, because they're looking at the flight path of this plane.
Yeah, and our job basically is to just go and lift all these penguins up and make sure they're on their feet again. And they're like, oh, that's my. They'll either believe you or they go, no, fuck off. And then there's
either way,
there's convo.
Yeah, either way, you've got them.
Yeah, and the other one which I'll mention is the dolphin shaver. That's great.
That's a good one. These are quite clever. These, if you actually unpack them, they could be plausible jobs.
Yeah, this is it. So yeah, we work at like Edinburgh Zoo. Like, you ever notice how, dolphins are quite smooth? And they're like, yeah, well, how do you think they're fucking so smooth? They obviously grow hair like any other animal. We shave them for you. Anyway, so it's that sort of shit. It's just easier and it's more fun to do that. And telling someone you're a Marine is probably ROI negative. However, like if you do that little dance for a little bit, and then they eventually don't believe you, if you then tell them they're a Marine, then it kind of works.
Yeah, then it works because you've already built up like a bit of rapport with them.
Exactly.
And then you drop the uniform card. You've got a bit more of that. They're willing to give you a bit more of your time at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're maybe more intrigued.
If you just go straight in nausea, like with a pre-prepared lecture about how Marines
how the Marine sniper course is harder than anything else. Like, what the fucking
immediately you've jarred them out.
Yeah,
because
they're maybe about how you're a Royal Marines PTI and that kind of thing. So if you're talking about that on a night out,
telling everyone
to each their own. But yeah, so that's how that kind of goes. And again, if you want to use either of those pickup lines, then crack on.
In civilian life as well.
Yeah.
Don't limit yourself. You know what I mean? We can all be penguin erectors.
I'll think of the other one.
The more the better. You might be back at Edinburgh Zoo soon as well.
Yeah,
that's good,
potentially.
in your fantasies.
In my fantasies, and I will be erecting penguins. I might tell her I do.
You're erecting some girls.
Yeah.
Right, well, that is the extent of my questioning.
That was ace. Yeah, that was good. There were definitely unusual questions. I haven't actually been asked many of those apart from the ones surrounding like females on camp and stuff, by applicants. So I'm guessing again that those are like questions that people want to ask. That
we're getting proactive now with this.
Yeah, exactly. Getting ahead of the curve, ahead of the game.
Because this is about the 7th Q&A that we've done.
So we're going to reinvent the wheel.
So we have... People like it. Let's make more of them. To quote Alan Partridge.
Exactly. So that was good. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We're not doing any more segments.
I think we'll leave it short and sweet for people because it is just a Q&A, so we don't want to chew everyone's ear off.
Okay, sweet. So like we said, our cameo appearance will have a full appearance the next episode. So it'll be Jim's interview. So tune in for that. But that's all from today. Hopefully you took something from that. If you're joining the Marines, or even if you're not and you're just interested, then hopefully that was kind of served some sort of entertainment for you.
Exactly, and don't be too disappointed if this episode's been shorter than you would have liked, because Jim is guaranteed to gob off for at least 2 hours. So
yeah,
we'll make it up to you next week.
A feature-length special.